Can you see this? A blank page? A blank page! I am so scared of blank pages. It's so white, empty, and intimidating. How can we turn this terrible blank page into a beautiful essay? With magic? By planning, of course. My name is Toby, this is Smash English, and here is everything you need to know about planning your B2 First essay. Oh, and of course, before you plan your essay, you must know what the structure is of the essay you are planning for. So please watch my video all about essay structure for your B2 First essay. If you don't understand the structure, then this video won't make a lot of sense. And that's a terrible thing. So why is planning so important? Because every essay must include certain things. And if you don't include these things, you will lose marks. An essay must inform the target reader and be relevant for marks in content. It must hold the target reader's attention for marks in communicative achievement. It must be well organized for marks in organization. And it must include complex and less common vocabulary specific to the topic and complex grammatical structures for marks in language. If you don't know what content, communicative achievement, organization, and language are, then please watch my video all about the Cambridge Assessment Scale for your writing exam. Because if you don't know what the examiners want, then how can you give it to them? You can't. And that's also a terrible thing. Because an essay must include so many different things, you must plan. Because if you don't plan, you could forget some of these things. And if you forget some of these things, you will score lower marks. And if you scored lower marks, you would cry. And if you cried, I would cry. And that's a lot of tears. And a lot of conditionals. Hey! Conditionals. Watch. All of them. Yes. Let's talk about the first thing you must do when you start your essay. You walk into the exam room, you open the paper, you see the question, and then... what? Well, every essay starts with an introduction. Wow, an introduction. The introduction should present the topic and rephrase the question. So the first thing we need to do is identify what the topic is. If we don't know what the topic is, we cannot begin our introduction. And that's another terrible thing. Remember, the topic is not the same as the question. The topic is more general than the question. Let us look at some examples. Here, the topic is having siblings. The question is whether it is better to have siblings or not, but that is not the topic. The topic is more general than the question. In this case, siblings in general. Here, the topic is online friendship. Here, the topic is school or education. Here, the topic is speaking English. Again, notice that the topic is more general than the question. So once you have identified the topic, write it down. Now we need to identify the question. Let's look at some examples. Here the question is having a brother or sister better than not having one? Is it possible to make real friends online? Is school still necessary now that we have online learning? Is it possible to survive in today's world without knowing English? Now that we have identified the topic and the question, we need to search our brains for some specific vocabulary related to the topic. So think of some and write them down. No more than 3 words or 3 expressions or so. Don't go crazy. Spend 30 seconds doing this. For example, if our topic is diet, we could write words and expressions like rich in vitamins, low in calories, healthy lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, cut down on something, put on weight, lose weight. You get the idea. Now this next step is very important. We must decide what our third prompt will be. Remember, you are given 2 prompts that you must include, and there is another one, your own idea. So think about what your own idea is. Once you have your third prompt, we need to think about how to order our paragraphs. Remember, I want you to include 1 paragraph for each prompt. That gives us introduction, prompt, 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 and a conclusion. But I want paragraphs 2 and 3 to agree with each other, and paragraph 4 to disagree with paragraphs 2 and 3. This allows us to connect paragraphs 2 and 3 together using not only but also inversion, and it allows us to use a concessive clause at the beginning of paragraph 4 to create a contrast. Again, watch my video about essay structure, because that is the structure we are planning for in this video, and it is the structure that will give you high marks. And high marks are fantastic. I love high marks, I really do. So for example, our question is this. Let's think of the prompts like subtopics related to the question. So work and travel are related to speaking English. Let's add international friendships. Okay, of course I have no friends, but for this I will pretend that I have 1 friend, and they are international, and I will use that experience to answer the question. So now we have our prompts: travel, work, and international friendships. Now we have to decide which prompts agree and which prompts disagree. I think speaking English is very important for travel, because everyone all over the world can speak English, thanks to Smash English. So say thank you to Smash English and press subscribe. Thanks. For the same reason, I think speaking English is very useful for international friendships, because everyone can speak English, everyone can connect using the language of English. However, I do not think speaking English is necessary for work. There are many jobs that do not require speaking English, such as being a zookeeper, a deodorant tester, or a pet food taster. This means that our 2 prompts that agree are travel and international friendships. So travel will be our paragraph 2, international friendships will be our paragraph 3, and work will be our paragraph 4. We're done. So let's have a look at another example. First, let's think of another prompt. We need another topic related to school. Let's say social life. Now we have 3 prompts: convenience, resources, and social life. I think online learning is more convenient because you can learn anywhere. I also think the internet has more resources than a physical classroom. However, I do not think online learning can replace the social life of a school. So paragraph 2 will be about convenience, paragraph 3 will be about resources, and my 4th paragraph will be about social life. Paragraphs 2 and 3 agree, and paragraph 4 disagrees, allowing us to use the essay structure I have given you in my video all about essay structure. So please watch it. Yeah. Next, I want you to spend a couple of minutes thinking about specific vocabulary related to each prompt. That way you can include it in your essay and get higher marks for language. So we have the prompts travel, work, and international friendships. So it could be to set off on holiday. We could use vocabulary like to check in, to check out of a hotel. We could use vocabulary like jobs, employment, unemployment, qualifications, get to know people, form connections, true friendship. All of these would be fine for an essay like this. For our essay about online learning and school, we have the prompts resources, convenience, and social life. For resources, we could use wealth of material, limitless potential. For convenience, we could say in the comfort of your own home, any place, any time. For social life, we could have face-to-face interaction and atmosphere. All of these would be fine. And lastly, the conclusion. And the great thing about the conclusion is that it writes itself. All the conclusion does is reference what you've said before in a logical way and then connect it to your opinion. And this is built into the structure, so you don't need to worry about how to write the conclusion. All you need to worry about is what your opinion is. Now, the examiner does not care if you are being honest or not, so just invent an opinion, as long as it is related to the question and to the prompt that you have discussed before. Understand what your opinion is, follow the structure I gave you in my video all about essay structure, and your opinion literally writes itself. How great is that? That is great. So useful. Thank you, Toby. Remember, the structure is carefully designed to tick all the boxes of the Cambridge Assessment Scale for your writing exam. So if you follow it, if you plan, follow the structure, write the essay with all of this stuff in your mind, then you will get high marks. I promise. I promise. And that is how you plan your essay for the B2 First Cambridge exam. Identify the topic, brainstorm vocabulary related to the topic, identify what the question is, think of your third prompt, organize your prompt so that 2 agree and 1 disagrees. This gives you your paragraph order, then brainstorm vocabulary related to each prompt, and finally, identify what your opinion is for your fantastic, wonderful, magical conclusion. And then you're finished and you can write it. Yeah. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below. My name is Toby and this was Smash English.